Hello everyone and welcome to a very different video, the first video of 2020. Now this is a very different video because this is the movies that I like or love but a lot of people hate. Now, when I was first thinking about this, I was just keeping writing and writing, and to be fair, there are a total of 20 movies that I like or love but a lot of people hate. Now, so let's get started. Number 20, we have Signs, M. Night Shyamalan's movie that I really, really love. I don't know why a lot of people hate it. And yes, Alien's weaknesses in this movie is water, you know. But for me, that didn't disturb me because there's some parts that really creeps you out because I jumped at the scene where like Mel Gibson is pulling out the TV and he takes a look at the TV and there's a fucking alien in the back, so that really creeped me the fuck out. So number 20, Science. Number 19 has to be Rush Hour 3. Now, I'm a big fan of Rush Hour, especially the first one and the second one. Uh, like a lot of people say, oh, the second one is disappointing. Okay, for me, it's not. But but the third one is. A lot of people were saying that, oh, it's worse, like it's the worst of all of them. And yes, it is. But I think it's still funny. It's an average body cop movie, and that's all I have to say. It's an average body cop movie. So at number 18, we have Halloween Rob Zombie remake. Now, I understand if you're a fan of the Halloween movies, like this movie is so disappointing to you, and I get it, but to me, it tells you more like of an origin of Michael Myers, and to me, it like at some points, it was kind of scary, and some moments it was kind of dumb, but I like it. It's a very average film. I think if you're a fan of the Halloween movies, you should give it a shot, and if you'll like it or not, it's on you. So at number 17, I'm gonna get I'm gonna get a lot of hate for this, but at number 17 we have The Village. I fucking love The Village, and this movie was marketed as a very scary movie, and for me, when I saw it, I thought, holy shit, like this probably is going to be the scariest M. Night Shyamalan movie ever. And no, it's more of a love story. And spoiler alert, you know we get to know that the creatures aren't actually creatures. They're people from the village. And to me, it has a beautiful score. The cinematography is fucking beautiful, and M. Night Shyamalan directed that hell out of that movie. And I don't know why it does get like a lot of hate. So number 17 is The Village. So at number 16 we have Venom. So Venom, I saw it like a year ago or 2 years ago. It was a movie 2018, right? So I saw it in the theater, and I saw reviews, and people were making at it, oh, it's the shit fest. This movie is shit. It's not worth the money. So I was like pretty disappointed with all of the reviews, and 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 when I saw a movie and walked out, sorry about that. I actually liked it. Like it's not as bad as a lot of people say. Yes, the movie is kind of dumb, but we see Venom, action, like the story is kind of all over the place, but it's still fun. It's still really, really fun. And number 15, we have the Twilight Saga. Every single Twilight movie I personally like, and this goes back to my childhood. I remember when I saw the first Twilight movie, I was about probably 10 or 11. Oh, I don't know. I don't know. But I saw it, and I liked it. I was like, yeah, this is pretty cool. And then when New Moon was coming out, I was like, with my sister, oh, like we should go see it. So we went to go see it in the theater, and dude, I I loved it way back when, but like now, if I see New Moon, it's like okay, it's an okay movie. But then Eclipse it comes out, I miss it, I still like it, I still watch it on DVD, and then it comes Breaking Down Part One, and I do remember when I was oh crap, I don't probably 13 or 14. Um, the movie was about to come out, and I was gonna go to my sister, but like eventually I couldn't go, so I watched it on DVD, and it was still like it was still pretty fun. But then I saw Breaking Dawn Part Two on the theater, with my dad, my mom, and my sister, and I liked it a lot, and I still like it a lot. It's really fun, and I still remember like the audience, like reaction, everybody was screaming at Breaking Down Part Two, and it was fun. It's a fun saga. It's an okay story, but it's still I enjoy it, so I like the Twilight Saga. At number 14, we have Grown Ups One and Two. Now, Grown Ups One, I think it's hilarious. I think it's really really great. I think that Adam Sandler, Chris Rock, David Spade, Rob Schneider, and then Kevin James, like everybody was funny. And I remember when I saw that as a kid, I was like, this is really fucking funny. And then I rewatched it like years later as I'm grown on, like grown, and I watched it and I was like, like it's still pretty hilarious. And then we go to Grown Ups too. I saw this movie at the theater for my birthday. I was so hyped, and but the movie was kind of disappointing. But I found myself laughing at some parts. I was like, okay, it's still kind of funny, but it's not as funny as the first one. So that's my number 14. So yeah. At number 13, we have The Animal with Rob Schneider. I think that movie is so fucking funny. I saw it when I was 17, 16 years old. I remember I saw it, and it was the most funniest shit I've ever seen. Now I rewatched it like years to come, and I really enjoyed it, man. I think it's really funny. It's fucking dumb. It's fucking dumb. It's really really dumb movie. And if you're a fan of Rob Schneider, as I am, you should probably check out the movie. It's pretty funny. At number 12, we have Batman Forever and Batman and Robin. Now, look, Batman Forever, I don't know why it got a lot of hate. I saw Batman Forever, later on in my years. I didn't saw it as a kid. But Batman Forever, it was like, okay, it was all right. Jim Carrey as the Riddler was pretty fun. Um, James Earl Jones as Two Face, he was all right. But Val Kilmer as Batman, he was a pretty cool Batman, but it's not one of my top Batmans. No. The soundtrack is awesome. um, and the score too, it's really, really awesome too. But yeah, Batman Forever, it's a fun movie. It's dumb, but it's really, really fun. Now going to Batman and Robin, it's a bad fucking movie. It's a really, really bad movie. Um, I remember I had the VHS as a kid, and I used to watch the living fuck out of that movie. But then when I grew older, I rewatched it and I view it as a comedy, and and the movie's fucking hilarious. The Iceman coming. You know, Arnold Schwarzenegger as Mr. Freeze. Hilarious. But still, it's a pretty enjoyable movie. I mean, if you see it as a comedy, it's a pretty enjoyable movie. So at 11, we have Daredevil, starring Ben Affleck and Jennifer Garner. So I remember another movie from my childhood. I remember when I watched this movie as a kid, and being in parts, like I was watching, the part where they kind of fight in the fucking thing, Ben Affleck and Jennifer Garner, and they're showing their moves. For me that was pretty fucking cool. And one thing I must say is that the soundtrack in this movie and the score is pretty fucking awesome. It's badass. I know it's a terrible movie. It's a terrible movie, but it's one of those movies that I can, if I'm depressed or if I'm having a bad day, I can pop it in and have the time of my life. I love Daredevil. You know, a lot of people say it's horrible, but that's basically your opinion. And number 10, okay, a lot of people are gonna be pissed, but I think that Meet the Spartans and Vampire Slug was fucking hilarious. Now, epic movie and disaster movie are shit. There's parts that I laugh, but I'm like those are shit. But Meet the Spartans and Vampire Suck. Um, I think they're hilarious. Because they're spoofing on off 300, Shrek, Spider-Man 3, all that shit, and Meet the Spartans. And then in Vampire Suck is basically they are ripping off Twilight, and for me that's hilarious. So excuse me. At number 9, we have The Matrix Reloaded and Revolutions. Now, as a fan of the first one, I'm going to tell you a story. I was so poor because I remember when I bought the first one and I loved it. I was, fuck yes. And then I remember I was working at the time, and my second or third paycheck comes, and I bought the other two, Matrix Reloaded and Revolution. So I watched them in a day, and they're not bad. I mean, they're still pretty cool. Like the action sequences are pretty fucking top notch, but the story is kind of confusing. But still, I still have a fun time, and I like them. So yeah. Number 8, we have Alien versus Predator. Now, Alien versus Predator, I think it's the most awesome, crossover between Alien and Predator. It's an awesome film, and I love it personally. Yeah, the movie's dumb and it's terrible at some parts, but I still find enjoyment in it because the action sequences are pretty cool. But yeah, that's all I have to say about Alien vs Predator. I like it, so no, I think I love it. No, I like it. So at number 7, we have another M Night Shyamalan movie. It's The Happening. Now, The Happening. The Happening is pretty fucking hilarious. There's some parts that I found them so fucking funny. Like, for example, um, what? No. Mark Wahlberg's performance in that movie, it's fucking awesome. But there's still parts that, yeah, and the movie is horrible. It's fucking horrible. But if you view it as a comedy, it's the time of your life. It's really awesome. You should check it out. So it's pretty good. And number 6, we have Batman v Superman. Now, I'm going to tell you another story. I remember I watched this movie opening night with my brother, and we were so fucking hyped. We were hyped out of my out of our minds to see it. And then we watched it, and then we looked to each other, and I was like, "What the fuck is wrong with the critics, man? It's, I mean, like, it doesn't deserve the 20 or 30% that it has on Rotten Tomatoes. I mean, I would see it as a 60% or 65%. That should be good, but you know, the action sequences are pretty fucking beautiful, and the fucking cinematography is beautiful. The score is fucking beautiful. Um, the performances were pretty good. So, and Zack Snyder, say what you say about him, he directed the living shit out of Batman v Superman. So fucking awesome. And number 5, we have Spider-Man 3. Now, I remember I watched this movie on DVD with my brother, and I used to be afraid of Venom. I used to like being afraid of him, but then like a couple of years go on, Then I rewatched it and I was like, it's not as horrible as a lot of people say. I mean, yeah, like the story doesn't make sense. Um, but the action sequences, the performances are pretty great. I think that the standout is James Franco. He's awesome. But like, yeah, Tougher Grace as Eddie Bronk, it didn't work. But everybody does their job, and it's pretty good. So, at number four, we have Transformers 1 through 4. Now, I saw Transformers later in life. I was probably 18 when I bought the first four on DVD. I watched the first one, loved the living shit out of the movie, and I was so hyped, so I bought the second one. Wait, I don't know. I bought all of them, and yeah. So I watched the second one immediately, and I remember I was disappointed, but and, like, it's still like guilty pleasure. It's okay-ish. But the action sequences are pretty great. But we go to Transformers 3, Dark of the Moon, and that movie, I like it. I like it a lot better than Revenge of the Fallen. The action sequences and the visual effects are stunning. And then we go to number four. Now, a lot of people say that this is their least favorite one. For me, I remember I saw this in June 30, 2014. It was on my birthday. And I remember I saw it with my cousin. We were hyped, you know, because it was the first Transformers movie I've ever seen. So we go to the theater, we watched it. I I loved it, and I still like it a lot, but yeah, the movie is fucking horrible. It got some very laughable scenes, but the action sequences and the visual effects save Transformers 4. So, yeah. At number three, we have The Hangover Part 2 and 3. Now, the first Hangover is one of the most funniest comedies I've ever seen in my whole fucking life. It's really, really funny. But then we go to Hangover Part 2. And I remember I bought my parents bought all three for my birthday. So when I watched the first one, I finished it. I was like, dude, like I gotta watch the second one. And the second one is disappointing because it's basically they are doing the same thing, but at a different location. But it still has some very funny parts. So, and part three, nobody gets drunk. Spoiler alert! Until the end of the credits. Um, but yeah, it was an okay movie. Part three. The story was okay. It didn't make sense to be honest, but it was alright. And number two, we have the Star Wars prequels. Now, I fucking love the Star Wars prequels because I started to accept Lucas' vision, and I love them. Like Episode 1, I really really like. Episode 2, I really really like, and Episode 3, I don't get why a lot of people hate Episode 3, but Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, loved it. The score, the story makes sense. Like the visual effects, the score, everything makes sense. And the prequels, I personally love them. I think that they are better than this new sequel trilogy. I don't know. That's just my opinion. At a number one. Now, number one, it's my most guilty pleasure movie of all time. And it's one of my favorite films of all time. And that is fucking Mortal Kombat. Okay, the first movie, because the second movie was alright, but the first fucking movie, so fucking awesome. Do you guys remember, the part where Liu Kang is fighting Reptile and that the music kicks in? Fucking awesome. And that Johnny Cage and Scorpion fight? Fucking awesome. You know, this movie was a love letter to us, the fans. It was it was great. Like, yeah, the movie is bad, but it's really really great. It's mostly for Mortal Kombat fans, so I love Mortal Kombat. So thank you everyone for watching my movies that I like or love, but a lot of people hate. Now, comment in the section below and tell me what are some of your movies that you like or love, but a lot of people hate. If you want me to do movies that I don't like or hate, but a lot of people like or love, comment, because I will do it. And subscribe for more content. I will do my 1917 review soon, probably in a week or two. So stay tuned for more videos.